Hey everyone, this is Steve Gamache with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is a three-piece set, so we'll talk about the common characteristics and then look at the sizes and dimensions of these one at a time. So this is the Tojiro Shirogami, or white number 2, Kasumi three-piece set. So this includes a 120 millimeter petty knife, a 150 millimeter petty knife, and then a 220 or 210-ish, 220 millimeter chef knife or guto. So what these have in common is the construction is through 3 layers. So we've got the core cutting edge steel is what's known as Shirogami or white paper number 2. High carbon reactive steel from Hitachi. It's a very easy to sharpen steel that holds a decent edge, but it's super easy to sharpen and will just get as wicked sharp as your skills allow. And so the heat treat on this is about 60 Rockwell, so they haven't taken it super hard, so it's a little more forgiving and makes it even easier to sharpen. And then they've got a soft iron cladding on either side of that. So this is an all-reactive blade. There are no stainless layers on it or anything like that. So where these are really going to shine is if you want to get into learning how to sharpen and you want to learn how to care for non-stainless blades. This is a very nice set that will do a lot for you over time, and it's hard to describe if you haven't sharpened a really good reactive carbon steel like a Shirogami number 2 or number 1. They're just so easy to sharpen. They will make you feel like a champ. You don't get frustrated. Sometimes the cheap stainless steels, especially some of the lower end knives, not the stuff that Mark carries typically, but the steel can get gummy and it just doesn't want to get sharp, and then you get frustrated and you don't want to sharpen. You don't want to learn how to sharpen because you're stuck and it never gets any better. So this way you've got a super easy to sharpen knife. Edge retention is okay, but you can sharpen it up so easily that you'll want to go ahead and touch these up and keep them razor sharp all the time in your knife drawer, knife store, wherever you keep your kitchen knives. So there are advantages to that. Each of these knives has similar characteristics. They are very similar in finish. They each have kind of a laser and really kind of a stamp. I think it's more of a stamped kanji on it, but nice looking kanji. It's not engraved by hand or anything like that, but it's nice looking. You've got a brushed finish that goes longitudinally with the knife on all 3 of these. That helps hide scratches when you clean it, because usually when you're cleaning things, you're going that way with the cleaning and the drying. You've got kind of a Kasumi cloudish finish to it. Here's your cladding and your cutting edge steel right there, your core steel peeking out. So these each of these has a similar look to them. I'm just going to use this one because it's kind of medium size. And then this line here is not really necessarily where the grind is. It's just kind of a visual cue for aesthetic purposes, but the grind kind of just flows down kind of in a gentle curve from the spine down to the edge. So they're nicely crafted. The handles are D-shaped. Actually, let's pick this one up again. So they are D-shaped, what's known as hoe wood or magnolia wood, with a plastic sleeve ferrule on there. There's always typically going to be a step here because this is a sleeve that fits over. And then you'll always want to check where that tang goes into the handle. There's usually some gaps on this type of knife. So seal that up with something so you don't get moisture in there, especially since it's not a stainless tang or stainless handle, or blade, I should say. The D-shaped, I'm a lefty, and personally that D-shape does not bother me one bit, but if it bothers you, that's fine. Some people say they're right hand only. A lot of people really don't care. Personally, if I'm pinching the knife, I'm really not even working with this. Some people that are lefties actually like to put their thumb right here as a little ledge. So, you know, they're kind of made for right-handers to fit in here, but I think don't be scared of that D-shape if you're lefty, personally. So let's just take one of these at a time. Let's set this one up here. I'll set that one up there. We'll just go with the small one first. So this one is the 120 millimeter petty. So small petty. It's about 56 grams. Edge sizes and dimensions will vary a little bit from knife to knife, but this one's 56 grams, 120 millimeters on the edge, overall length 231 millimeters. Spine thickness, I measured this in 2 places, so they're a little thicker coming out of the handle. So this one's 3.0, and then it goes way down to 1.75, halfway down, and then thins out even a little bit more. Not super skinny at the tip, fairly thin. And then here's the back side. There we go. And blade height, about 25.5, so not particularly tall. We'll get our beauty shot here. And again, you got this kanji that's kind of an embossed kanji, but it's really looks good. It's nicely done. So there's the right side of the blade. There's the left side of the blade. So good, handy, small petty. Balance point is going to be a little bit further back because the blade's so light. So the balance point's right about there. You can see the circumference on the handles. I measure those where the wood, just the edge of the wood before it hits the smaller ferrule. So that's that one. Here's the 150. So the 150 weighs 65 grams. This one does. It's 150 millimeters on the money at the edge. Overall length, about 265 millimeters. And then this one measured about 3.5 millimeters at the back of the blade, coming out of the handle, and 1.7. And then it kind of thins out a little bit beyond that. And as you kind of get to the grind of the knife, the tip's kind of a medium fine tip. And then here is the back side of the blade. Not super skinny at the edge, a little bit of meat there, but kind of a balance of performance. I think I showed you this one before, so I'm not going to spend too long on that. So I got 3 in 1 here, but there's what that looks like. Right side of the blade, left side of the blade. Balance point is just in front of that choil. So these will pinch nicely as well. Nice pinch grip for these. And let me do a quick edge profile on this one, since you might do some board work with it. So here's the edge profile of that. Fairly flat. So you got a pretty big flat at the heel. This will chop real nicely. And then a low amount of belly, so it's not going to rock real high. But yeah, so fairly flat in the back half. It just kind of flows into a stop actually back there. So a nice smooth profile. And let's look at the last one. This is our bigger one. Oh, move my sheet here. All right, so this is what's labeled 220 or 210. So this particular one is 132 grams in weight. Edge length on this is 220, so it's a pretty good size knife. And from the tip to the back, overall length about 360 millimeters. Thickness-wise, this is a little thicker. So coming out of the handle above the back of the heel, I measured about 3.4 or so, and then about 1.75 again, middle of the blade, halfway down, and then it does kind of thin out a little bit off of that. And then as you get to the grind, the tip actually is pretty nice on this. Pretty thin. That's a nice thin tip, and you can see it thins out towards that tip, so that's going to help with the tip performance on this. This is not going to be any slouch in the performance department. And then here's the choil or back of the blade shot. So again, fairly thin. This should be a pretty nice performing knife. I have not used this one, but it looking good from a grind and geometry standpoint. Let's see here. Height, this one's 42 millimeters, so not particularly tall at the back, but you've got a good spot for a finger right there for a pinch grip, and you still got lots of clearance for the cutting board. Again, same type of handle. Handle size on the other two are 62, 62. This one's about 75, 76, so a little bit bigger handle on it. Let's see, balance point is going to be pretty close to a pinch grip on this one. This hoe wood is nice and light, so that helps bring that balance point forward. So that's almost on the money for me for a pinch grip. So very light, nimble feel to it. Fairly stiff in the back half, actually probably back 2/3. It's fairly stiff. I'm going to give all these about a 5 out of 10 on the edge, out of the box edge. So decent out of the box edge. Fair amount of polish to it. But you can get these things wicked sharp if your skills let you do that. Here's the look on that one. Again, you've got your kanji on there. And here's the left side of the blade. So this is just a nice set. This one should actually be a really good performer. And I've got our 120 and our 150. So nice 3-piece set. Gives you a lot of practice sharpening, working on your skills if that's your interest, handling, non-stainless knives. And they're not that bad once you get a patina built on them. They're actually pretty reasonable to use. And so it's just a nice high-value set that should last for a long, long time. This is the Tojiro Shirogami or White No. 2 Kasumi 3-piece knife set from Chef Knives to Go.